Hi, I'm Amos Gaynes, and I'm here with Trent Thompson from Moog. And we had a pretty heavy session this morning with a lot of system architecture talk, which was cool if you're into that sort of thing, but we didn't play a whole lot of sounds. So this afternoon, we are just going to tour through the factory sound bank and play some sounds for you all, and I hope you enjoy that. Neither of us are virtuoso session musicians. We're, instrument designers. So, keep your expectations low and your ears open, and just listen to some sounds, and I hope you enjoy. We'll just tour through it, and please post your questions in the channel. If there's certain kind of sounds you want to hear more of or anything like that, just let us know. And we're here live, and we can just accommodate on the fly as best we can.
Also, we're going to go through the performance set, which is a group of sounds that we've specified out of all of the presets that this instrument is shipping with. So this is a group that we have kind of picked.
Sort of our favorites out of the hundreds of sounds that we've curated for the initial launch. So here we go. This is one called Key Lime. Going to move through various different styles, try to just show as wide a range of sounds as we can. Got a little clipping there, sorry about that. This is live and unrehearsed, so we'll just work on the sound levels as we go.
While Amos is playing through some of these sounds, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the More button on the performance set, and it's going to give us a visual of everything that is in this factory performance set. And so you can see that we're in Bank A, and we're on preset 2, which is Ambiosis. Nice.
If I can get a little more sound in the room, that would be helpful.
Get more on these monitors. I'm going to disappear for 1 second. I like this one. this sound is a two-part multi-timbral sound, and so if we wanted to make a parameter adjustment on more than one layer, we could press synth 1 and 2, and now if Amos adjusts the filter cutoffs, it's going to affect both timbres instead of just one at a time.
This is a fairly huge sound. It uses the full 3-part multitembrality. There's a really large bass down at this end. And then a lot of impressive pad stuff up on this side. So as you can hear, there's a lot of drama inside this instrument. I think it's going to be amazing for scoring, for soundtracks, for just, you know, huge layers of sound underlying a composition, as well as for leads, of course. But yeah, that's a big one. Okay, here's something that should be a little bit less heavy.
So this preset is making use of the note trig feature in the sequencer.
Go ahead.
So the preset is making use of the note trig feature in the sequencer, which allows you to hold notes and start the sequencer either from the beginning or from a pre-existing step. So I'll let you keep playing.
Sure. Yeah, the basic idea is that there's a sequence programmed into this synth here, which starts playing the moment you press a key. So it's a key-triggered sequence. That's what gets that going on. And then on another layer, we have the arpeggiator going as well. Cool. Well, let's jump over to Traveler, see what that sounds like. This is making use of a keyboard split, which I've just jumped above.
See that whatever range that Amos is playing in is illuminated. So each time he plays a note that's triggering timbre 2, which is Forever Young, you can see it illuminate. And the same goes for the ladder bass there as well. So you have a clear indication of what notes will trigger what layers.
Ooh.
So we've got a couple of quick questions, and maybe we'll jump into that and jump back to some sounds.
Sure.
One of the questions is, will there be any presets to emulate classic polysynths? If you make them, there will be. Do you have anything you want to add to that specifically?
I would say that there are a number of presets in here that sound designers have already contributed that are inspired by classic polysynth sounds of yesteryear. We've tried not to put too much of an emphasis on that, in that you're not going to find the specific names of other synthesizers in the preset names on here, but the inspirations are there. That sonic capability is definitely here, and so if you're familiar with particular vintage instruments, you will probably run across sounds in here that were inspired by those instruments, and certainly the facilities are there for you to craft those sounds if you want to nail something specific to a particular previous instrument. Chances are very good that between the core oscillator shapes, the filter type, the filter poles, the responses there, the shapes of the envelopes. One of the things about the ability to have continuously editable envelope curves is that just the way that an attack is shaped on an envelope generator, that people that are really familiar with particular vintage synths will say, oh, this one has a slightly logarithmic attack, this one has a sharper attack, or there are subtleties to the characteristics of the circuits in those old synthesizers that give them a particular shape, and the ability to finally adjust the shapes of the oscillator slopes and the envelope stages and so on lets you get closer to those characteristic quirks of specific earlier machines. So if you're trying to capture the vibe of a particular older instrument, all of that fine-tuning capability helps you to get closer to that sound if you know what you're trying to go for.
Okay, and we got another one that says, can you tell us what the 8 gigs of RAM will or can be used for?
No, not specifically. The number one thing that I can say is storing lots and lots of presets. That's the main thing that it was intended for. It was sort of the default quantity that you get with the system that we put together. You know, memory is cheap these days, and you know, I would say that is not, I wouldn't necessarily say that that is RAM, that is like flash memory, that's storage altogether. So mainly it's for storing presets, it's for storing user spaces. You can have multiple entire setups of the instrument in parallel. You can have multiple user spaces and switch between them. If multiple people are sharing an instrument in a studio, or if you're trying to organize multiple projects. So massive storage is the main thing that it's intended for. You know, any sort of question regarding future product development plans, we just really, you know, we can't go too far into detail on those sorts of things while they're still under development. You know, we don't want to overpromise or create expectations. You know, we want to make this instrument the best that we can, and we will roll things out, you know, as they're done and ready to talk about.
Cool. Let's jump back into some more sounds.
Sure thing. I just want to point out that that very interesting glide sound is using a glide function called glissando. So you have multiple different glide modes, and a smooth glide, if I turn off glissando, you get that smooth sound, and if you turn on glissando, it quantizes the glide to the individual semitones of the keyboard. So you get that very distinctive run up and down the keys kind of sound, only it's automatic, which is cool. Ooh, here's a fun one. Trent, you want to run this one? Since you designed it?
Yeah, sure. So the way that this one works, it makes use of the note trig function that we talked about on the sequencer earlier. So when I play a note, you're going to hear a sequence and some waves and some bass, and it's kind of inspired by one of our favorite people. So hopefully it works. And that's how you do the all notes off command.
Awesome.
So if for some reason you ever do get a stuck note, which it appears was the case just there for those of you that are asking, if you hit the octave up and down keys at the same time, immediate MIDI panic. let's jump through a couple more. And see what we
Sure
can find.
thing. All right, just go through some more sounds more quickly. That's a personal favorite of mine.
It's a fun one.
Just an illustration that you can get very far from raw electric synth sounds.
You've got a sustain pedal down there.
I do have a sustain pedal down here, hey.
Yeah, this one's good.
Oh, here's a fun one. I don't know the best way to bring out the original character of this performance, but the sounds are just amazing. All right, I think we got time for just a few more. I'm just taking these as they come. I have nothing rehearsed or.
And as we said earlier, we're live, so if you have any specific questions, keep them coming. We'll do our best to answer them while we have time.
There's one question here. Will the vocoder be in the Launch OS? The answer is absolutely yes. And we've just been so busy here that we haven't gotten a demo together yet, but we will do that soon.
Yep.
Probably sometime this week. We've got a busy demo schedule planned for this week, so there will definitely be some vocoding happening at some point for sure.
A couple of favorites there.
All
No,
right,
you keep
cool.
Going. You keep going. You're the player. I can't play. This one's kind of fun, I think.
Okay, what is this? Oh, Western Canyon. My Western soundtrack repertoire is pretty limited.
Actually, ouchpot.
What are we on now?
We're going to ouchpot.
Okay.
I'll let you jump around. It already happened.
Cello preset. Yep, the question for cello preset asked and answered. That was a few back.
Yep.
Lots of eerie soundtrack material in here.
The sound is actually jumping, but there's different types of knob modes in this instrument. So we've got right now it's just snapping to where he's turning the knob, but then within the global settings there's knob mode.
I've just changed that to relative, so let's see what happens if I do that.
So in relative mode, what will happen is the knob's position will turn, the parameter's position will turn relative to where the knob is, so that you never get that big jump.
Okay, let's see what else we got here. Any particular ones that I know and love?
They're all pretty fun.
They are all pretty fun.
Yeah. But we could also jump out of the performance set. I mean, that's kind of where we're at. But we've got, right now we've got about 350 presets in the instrument, and there will be more over time. So if you want to hunt that way too, we can do that.
Absolutely. Well, there was a request to hear a Jupiter 8-ish pad, and I don't know that we have any that are specifically, like I said, we did try to keep those names out of the presets.
Do you want to sort by pad?
Oh yeah, I can sort by pad. That's great. Category, pads. Yep, so all of the factory presets are fully tagged with their category, a mood, and so I can just sort by pad, and here they all are. I should point out that a lot of the sound design was really taking this as a blank canvas and a new instrument. So my hope is that in the future there are going to be Moog One-ish pads that people are laboring to achieve on other instruments. So there may be more new sounds here than there are vintage sounds, but that's only because we had such a broad playground to explore.
Question up here, when are you demoing the vocoder? We will let you know when we are going to be doing that demo. That is coming. Just not right now, not today.
Sounds like. Question here asking about the signal path is the dry signal. If you're running through effects, is the dry signal full analog, or does the whole wet-dry path go through analog to digital conversion? And the answer depends on whether you're using an insert effect or not, which we call synth effects on here. Those are the ones that you get per individual timbre. The master effects are on a send bus, just like the aux sends on your mixer. And so the dry part of the signal, if you're talking about the master effects, the dry part of the signal is 100% analog straight to the outputs. And only the part that you're sending to the effects bus goes through A to D conversion. If you are using an insert effect, that is essentially, of necessity, the wet portion of that signal is going through the A to D conversion, and it sort of depends on the effect. Some of the effects, like the delays, the dry portion of the delayed, with a digital delay, the dry portion can still be 100% analog, and only the delays are digital. There are other insert effects, like the choruses and flanges, where just the best sound quality and the best way that we could get that to gel with the total package, those insert effects do use the whole signal goes through an A to D conversion. But there are just a few cases where that is the case, and in almost every case, if you're not using the synth effect, definitely the dry signal is 100% analog, and even if you are using the digital delays on the synth effects, the dry portion is still 100% analog. So mostly the dry signal that you hear is going to be analog, and if you disable all the effects, everything is end-to-end analog, no A to D conversion anywhere.
So with the effects disabled right now, the signal path is completely analog, and you can kick those on and off at will, obviously.
The digital delay there, that is, of course, a digital effect, but the dry portion of the signal is still analog. There's a question about the pots on the One. Are they the same high-end pots found on the Model D reissue? I don't know the answer to that question.
They are a high-end pot, but they're not the same ones because we have to be able to. I
think the switches are the same switches. The rotary switches are the same rotary switches used on the One or on the Model D reissue. Mm-hmm. The pots, I think, just due to the panel geometry, the Model D used a different depth of the panel from depth of the panel circuit board below the front panel, and so it's a different part because of that different geometry.
But it is
still,
similar.
Still a very high quality, long lifetime, smooth acting, secured to the panel with a nut pot. Metal pot shaft, just checking. Yep. You can tell I'm an engineer because we disassemble things, that's what we do.
Great.
All right. Let's see. Do we have any more time? Should we wrap things up? Should we play some more sounds?
Yeah. Let's play a few more sounds.
Okay. Let's see. What have I not done yet?
Yeah.
All right. There's one called Oneness. Played a little bit of wave tangle. Let's see. Have your basic leads and basses in our favorites?
There are some, but you know, because they're laid out in a performance set, they're organized differently. While you're doing that, I'll jump over and do a little filtering over to some leads.
Okay, here's some leads. This can either be Tomita or G-Funk, depending on your cultural reference. Sure. That's all right. All right. Let's sort through some basses right quick. what is the pitch bend range? Someone out there asks. Well, let me tell you, the pitch bend range is up to plus or minus 2 octaves, and you can set it in semitones. You can set it independently per synth. You can actually set pitch bend independently per oscillator. So you can have something that sounds like a unison when you start out. This has actually got a fifth in it, but at any rate, you can bend individual oscillators up and down, and in fact, the direction that the pitch changes is independent of the direction the wheel is moving. So as you move the pitch wheel up, you can have one oscillator bending up, another oscillator bending down. You can do all of that per layer. So you have incredibly deep and precise control over pitch bend on all levels of this instrument.
You also can use the pitch wheel as a controller, so you can, in addition to bending oscillators, you can assign it to different controls on the instrument.
It can be doing filter sweeps, it can make LFOs speed up or slow down, and you can have all of those functions tied to one move of the pitch wheel as like a macro control.
Then we got another question, can you store sub-37 presets on the one? No, you cannot. They are definitely, they're two different instruments, so no.
One person out there in internet land asks, can you tell us more about the resonator? Can it be modulated or automated? The answer is, right now, the effects engine is not a mod destination for any of the controllers. That is something that I think I can comfortably say that we are working on. So that is to be determined in the future, but we know that we want the mod wheel, the XY pad, velocity, all of those things to be able to modulate the effects. Right now, that's not an option. But there is a little bit of modulation internal to the resonator. So if I pull up the resonator effect right quickly here, so you can hear that now. That's no resonator. That's with the resonator. And it does have its own internal LFO. So it's got a mod rate and a mod depth internal to the effect. So if I'll turn that mod depth up, turn turn up the mod rate. Let's see. Seems a little bit subtle there. Let's turn up the resonance. There you go. So there you can hear some modulation on the resonator effect itself.
That's a good question. So we have a question, can the instrument feed back into itself like the Mini Moog headphone trick?
Maybe. Got a patch cord?
Might be able to make one materialize. 1 second.
Let's find out, shall we?
Should we just use
All right, so let's use, we can try the sub out, sure.
or use the headphone?
Well, let's, we are sending to the sub out, so that should work.
Okay.
All right, and so I'm going to turn on, let's see, which external input are we using?
The mic line input.
Okay, mic line input, and turn up the level. Okay, let's see what happens.
Play a new note. I'm wondering if it's possible that we're doing something wrong.
We could well be doing something wrong. Let's see, that would be,
Is this mono? Oh, you know what? Turn off the resonator.
okay.
And let's,
And here, why don't we try a headphone output,
Yeah.
just for grins.
okay.
Is that the one? Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. Wrong end of the cable. My bad. External input, mic line. Here we go.
And if this works, you still have a second headphone output. So
That's
you can
right.
listen to your headphones.
All right. So let's find out. We still don't know. This is. Let's see what happens here. Actually, I do hear something there. The answer is yes, but it's not feeding back. It definitely does thicken up the sound a little bit. This is the first time I've ever tried that patch live on the internet, so you never know what's going to happen. The answer is right now it's definitely thickening up the sound a little bit, but as far as full-on feedback, we might need a little more gain in the system. This was not really this was designed to be able to mix 16 voices cleanly. We're in mono now too, so we're actually not even hearing. It may start to feed back. Here, hang on a second.
Unison?
Oh yeah, there we go. So the answer is yes, but you have to have more than one voice going to really get it to feed back, because the system is designed to have enough headroom in the mix to mix 16 voices. So one voice feeding back isn't going to push it over the edge into instability. But if you were to turn on unison, I think that little 4-note experiment suggested that yes, you could turn this thing into a howling banshee of feedback. You just have to push it a little bit harder.
So are the modulation possibilities only limited by the CPU power available? And do synth 1, 2, and 3 have the same amount of CPU power allocated, or is it distributed dynamically?
I can take that one.
Yeah.
The answer is basically yes. Fundamentally, the modulation is only limited by the CPU power available. Right now at launch, we're not pushing that limit. We've set a safe threshold that we know will work under all circumstances of about 20 modulations in the mod matrix plus another 20-odd sequenced parameters in the sequencer parameter modulation. and that is per layer. And again, right now that is statically allocated. So each timbre gets the same, same slice of resources allocated to it. That's something that we are looking into exploring and tuning and expanding further. So, we will see what the limit is. I'm confident that we have not reached that yet, and we'll just continue to tune the system and find out the limits of what it can do, and offer as much of that performance as we can.
So he demonstrates splitting the keyboard.
And play chords as a lead sound. I'm not sure what playing chords as a lead sound means, but yes, I can demonstrate splitting the keyboard. Chords and a lead sound, yes.
We actually could search by multi and single and actually take a look at some of those.
That's right. Let's see what this one's doing. This is a layered sound. That's not what we're looking for. Let's see what this one's doing. No. If I go here and look. There probably is one that does what we're looking for. This one might.
Build this out if we don't.
Yeah, we certainly can. Let's see. Okay. All right, so what we have now here is a layered sound where we've got like a brass pad and a pluck. And I can turn that from a layered sound into a split very easily. So I'm going to pick the pluck sound, and I'll set a keyboard range of the top 2 octaves here, let's say. And so I did that by, in the keyboard control section, I hit the low range button, and I hit the low note I wanted to play. I hit the high range button, and hit the high note I wanted to play. So now I only have that pluck here, and I can also adjust the level of that relative to my lead sound. Okay, so now let's look at the brass pad sound. That's playing everywhere. I can set a high range here, and now these sounds don't overlap anymore. Works kind of like that. Can I change between 2 sequence patches and maintain timing with no glitches? That is certainly the intention. I hope that to be the case, and let's find out. I would say if you can't, then you will be able to shortly. That's one that I can allege with some confidence. So let's go to sequence. Oh wait, we don't have a sequence category, or we didn't label them as such. That one actually might be a little bit hard to demo without preparation. So I will have to, like, live on air, find 2 sequenced presets and then change between them, and I'm not sure about all that.
I think we're going to have to come back to this one.
We're going to have to come back to that one. We'll be doing this all week, so let's file that one and have a nice demo of it when we can prepare.
Great.
Cool, cool.
You want to play us off?
Sure. Okay. Let's see. Boy, that is one unruly sound. It is enormous. Picked a less hog wild sounds to try to play us out with.
Take two.
Thanks very much for riding along with us. Hope you enjoyed the sounds, and we'll come back and do this again and again later in the week. Cheers.
Thanks.